The information provided in this video is for educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or dietary supplement. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have seen in this presentation. You're standing in the supplement aisle. The shelves are packed with hundreds of bottles, all screaming promises from their shiny labels. Boosts immunity, supports brain health, promotes restful sleep. It's a wall of hope, a kaleidoscope of potential wellness. You grab a bottle of vitamin D, something simple, and turn it over. Suddenly, the simple choice feels complicated. Your eyes glaze over at words like cholecalciferol. What does 5,000 IU actually mean for you? And what in the world are other ingredients like magnesium stearate and silicon dioxide even doing in there? If you've ever felt overwhelmed, confused, or even a little bit suspicious while looking at a supplement label, you are not alone. In fact, you're in the vast majority. Over half of all adults in the United States take a dietary supplement every single day, pouring billions of dollars into an industry that often feels more like the Wild West than a trusted partner in health. The problem is, we're taught how to read food labels in school, but nobody ever teaches us how to read supplement labels. And they are two completely different languages. That gap in knowledge is where marketing thrives and where your money and your health can be put at risk. This video is going to change that forever. This isn't just another top 5 supplements list. This is a masterclass in literacy. By the end of this complete guide, you will be able to walk into any store, pick up any supplement bottle, from a simple vitamin to a complex herbal blend, and decode its label with the confidence of a seasoned nutritionist. You will learn to see past the flashy marketing on the front and uncover the hard facts on the back. You'll know exactly what you're putting into your body, whether you're actually getting your money's worth, and how to spot the critical red flags that 99% of consumers miss. We are going to turn you into the most informed consumer in that aisle. So let's start where every company wants you to start, the front of the bottle. This is the prime real estate. It's the movie poster, designed to grab your attention with bold claims and beautiful design. You'll see phrases like, supports heart health, enhances memory, or promotes joint comfort. These are what the industry calls structure/function claims. And here is the first and possibly most shocking piece of information you need to understand. These claims do not require approval from the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, before the product hits the shelf. Let me say that again because it is that important. The company selling the supplement does not have to prove to the FDA that their product actually enhances memory before they sell it to you. The law that governs supplements in the U.S., the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994, or DSHEA, puts the entire burden of proof on the FDA. This means a product is assumed to be safe until the FDA can prove it's unsafe. It's the complete opposite of how prescription drugs are regulated, where a drug must be proven safe and effective through rigorous trials before it can be sold. For supplements, the manufacturer is simply required to have some form of evidence that their claim is truthful and not misleading, and they have to notify the FDA of the claim. But they don't submit that evidence for review. They just keep it on file in case the FDA or the Federal Trade Commission comes knocking, which happens far less often than you'd think. The only major rule for these front-of-label claims is that they cannot claim to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose a specific disease. A supplement can't say it cures arthritis, but it can say it supports joint health. It can't say it prevents heart attacks, but it can say it maintains healthy cholesterol levels. It is a game of semantics, of carefully chosen words designed to imply a powerful benefit without crossing a legal line. And on the back of the bottle, you will almost always find this tiny disclaimer, required by law for any structure/function claim. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. That little sentence is your first clue that you are operating in a different world, one with different rules than the rest of your medicine cabinet. So, if the front of the label is the marketing, the movie poster full of exciting promises, where is the truth? The truth is on the back. You have to physically turn the bottle over and look for a black and white box. This box is your best friend. It's called the Supplement Facts Panel. This is where the marketing stops and the science begins. This panel is the script of the movie, the detailed blueprint that tells you what's really inside. Learning to read this panel is the single most important skill. you can develop to protect your health and your wallet. And the very first place your eyes should go, before you even look at the ingredients, is the serving size. This sounds incredibly basic, but I can tell you it is the most common and most deceptive trap on a supplement label. The company determines the serving size, and it can be designed to make the product look more potent or cheaper than it actually is. You might see a bottle of magnesium that proudly displays 400 milligrams on the front. You think, great, that's the dose I want. But then you turn it over, and the supplement facts panel says, serving size, 2 capsules, and right next to it, amount per serving, magnesium 400 milligrams. This means you have to take 2 capsules to get that 400 milligrams. A single capsule only has 200. This gets even more critical when you look at the next line. Servings per container. Let's say that bottle of magnesium contains 60 capsules. If you thought each capsule was 400 milligrams, you'd assume you have a 60-day supply. But because the serving size is 2 capsules, you actually only have a 30-day supply. The cost per day just doubled right before your eyes. Companies know that most people scan the front, check the price, and look at the total capsule count. They count on you not checking the serving size. It's a simple trick that completely changes the value proposition of the product. Before you do anything else, you must understand how many pills, gummies, or scoops make up a single serving, because every other number on that panel, every vitamin, every mineral, every herb is based on that serving size. It is the foundation upon which everything else is built. If you get the serving size wrong, you get everything wrong. So, from now on, that's your first checkpoint. Grab the bottle, flip it over. What is the serving size? How many servings are in this container? Only after you've answered those 2 questions can you begin to analyze what's actually in the formula. And this is where the real detective work begins. Because knowing you need to take 2 capsules is one thing. Knowing what's in those 2 capsules is everything. You're now looking at the heart of the label. The supplement facts panel. It looks a lot like a nutrition facts panel on food, but it plays by a slightly different set of rules. Let's break it down column by column. On the far left, you have the name of the nutrient or ingredient. Simple enough, right? Vitamin C, magnesium, calcium. But look closer. It rarely just says magnesium. It might say magnesium citrate, or magnesium oxide, or magnesium glycinate. Is this just fancy marketing? Absolutely not. This is one of the most overlooked, yet critical pieces of information on the entire label. The form of a nutrient dictates its bioavailability. That's a scientific term for how well your body can absorb and use it. Let's take magnesium as a perfect case study. Magnesium oxide is a cheap form of magnesium. It's a tiny molecule, so a company can cram a lot of it into a small pill and claim a high milligram amount on the front of the bottle. The problem? Your body barely absorbs it. For many people, its primary effect is as a laxative because most of it just passes right through your digestive system. Magnesium citrate, on the other hand, is better absorbed. And magnesium glycinate is often considered a premium form, bound to the amino acid glycine, which makes it highly absorbable and gentle on the stomach. So, a product with 200 milligrams of magnesium glycinate could deliver more usable magnesium to your cells than a product with 400 milligrams of magnesium oxide. The person who only looks at the big number in the middle column gets the inferior product. The person who understands the ingredient on the left gets the results. This applies to so many nutrients, the form matters. Always look for it. Now let's move to that middle column. Amount per serving. This is the number that grabs all the headlines. This is the dosage. And it directly connects to what we just talked about. The amount listed here is the quantity of the ingredient in one serving, which you already identified in the first step. If the serving size is 3 capsules, and the label says 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, that's 1,000 milligrams in the full 3-capsule dose, not in each individual capsule. It's a simple point, but it's the number one mistake people make, leading them to take only a fraction of the intended dose and then wonder why it's not working. You'll see different units here. mg for milligrams, micg for micrograms, and sometimes IU for international units. Just know that there are 1,000 micrograms in 1 milligram. This is important for potent vitamins like B12 or vitamin D, which are dosed in smaller micg amounts. Don't confuse 500 micrograms with 500 milligrams. It's a 1,000-fold difference. And that brings us to the third, and perhaps most misunderstood, column on the right, the percent daily value or percent DV. This number causes a world of confusion. People see vitamin C 1,111% DV and think one of two things. Either, wow, this is an incredible super potent product, or whoa, that's a dangerous overdose. In most cases, neither is true. So what is the percent daily value? It's a reference number created by the Food and Drug Administration. It is based on a generic 2,000 calorie diet for a healthy adult. The 100% DV for a nutrient is simply the amount the FDA suggests is adequate to prevent a deficiency disease in the general population. Let me say that again. It's designed to prevent an acute deficiency disease, like scurvy from a lack of vitamin C, or rickets from a lack of vitamin D. The percent DV is not, and was never intended to be, a recommendation for optimal health. It doesn't account for your age, your sex, your activity level, your genetics, your stress levels, or your personal health goals. It's a one-size-fits-all number for public health guidance. Thinking of the percent DV as your personal target is like thinking the average shoe size is the right size for you. It might be, but probably not. This is why you see such wild percentages. The daily value for vitamin C is 90 milligrams. That's enough to prevent scurvy. But many studies looking at immune support or antioxidant benefits use doses of 500 or 1,000 milligrams. A supplement providing 1,000 milligrams would therefore be listed as over 1,100% of the DV. It's not a toxic overdose. It's a therapeutic dose that far exceeds the bare minimum needed for survival. Conversely, for some nutrients, hitting 100% DV might be more than you need. Take iron. The DV is 18 milligrams, which is geared more towards the needs of premenopausal women who lose iron monthly. An adult man or a postmenopausal woman generally doesn't need that much supplemental iron, and in fact, excessive iron can be harmful. So, seeing 100% DV of iron in a multivitamin might be a red flag for them. More is not always better. Then, you'll notice some ingredients have no percent daily value listed at all. Instead, you'll just see a little asterisk or a dash in that column. This simply means the FDA has not established a daily value for that ingredient. You'll see this for things like herbs like ashwagandha or turmeric, amino acids, and compounds like coenzyme Q10. It doesn't mean they're not valuable. It just means they don't fit into the government's framework of essential vitamins and minerals needed to prevent basic deficiency. So, the key takeaway for the percent DV is to see it as a rough reference point, not a strict prescription. But what happens when a company doesn't want you to see the specific amounts of each ingredient? What if they want to hide a low-quality formula behind clever marketing? They use a loophole, and it has a very official-sounding name, the proprietary blend. You'll be scanning a label, and instead of seeing each ingredient listed with its own specific milligram amount, you'll see a list of 5, 10, even 20 ingredients all grouped together under a fancy, trademark name like CogniBoost Matrix or Muscle Strength Complex. And next to this entire blend, there will be only one number. For example, CogniBoost Matrix, 500 milligrams. Then underneath it lists all the ingredients inside that matrix. Ginkgo biloba, Bacopa monnieri, lion's mane, L-theanine, and so on. The company's argument is that this protects their proprietary, secret formula from competitors. But for you, the consumer, it's a giant red flag. Why? Because ingredients in a blend are required to be listed in order by weight. The one with the highest quantity is first, and the one with the lowest is last. But you have no idea what the actual breakdown is. That 500 milligrams CogniBoost Matrix could be 495 milligrams of the cheapest ingredient, with just 1 milligram each of the other expensive, highly effective ones. This is a common industry tactic called fairy dusting. They put a microscopic, completely ineffective amount of a popular ingredient in the blend just so they can legally feature it on the front of the bottle. It's like ordering a gourmet fruit salad and paying a premium price because the menu says it contains exotic goji berries, mangosteen, and acai. But when it arrives, the bowl is 99% cheap cantaloupe and honeydew melon, with one single sad-looking goji berry on top. They didn't lie, it does contain goji berries. But they completely misled you about the quantity. That is what a proprietary blend allows a company to do. So, when you see a proprietary blend, you have to ask yourself, what are they hiding? A transparent, high-quality manufacturer is proud of their formula. They want to show you that they're using effective, clinical doses of each ingredient. They'll list them all out individually with their precise milligram or microgram amounts. Companies that rely on proprietary blends are often hiding the fact that their product is mostly cheap filler. Be skeptical. Be very skeptical. So now you've analyzed the serving size, the servings per container, and the 3 main columns of the supplement facts panel. You know how to interpret the ingredient form, the amount per serving, the percent daily value, and you know how to spot the massive red flag of a proprietary blend. You might think you know everything you need to know about the formula, but you'd be wrong. Because even if a formula looks perfect in the supplement facts panel, there's a hidden section at the very bottom of the label that can make or break its quality. It's where companies hide the cheap binders, the artificial colors, the potential allergens, and the questionable additives that have nothing to do with your health. And that's exactly what we're going to expose next. The other ingredients list. This innocuous-sounding section is the backstage of the supplement world. The main ingredients get the spotlight, the fancy claims are on the marquee, but the other ingredients list, that's where you find the stagehands, the cheap props, and sometimes the saboteurs. It's the difference between a Michelin star meal and a fast food burger. Both might give you protein, but what else are you getting along for the ride? First, let's be fair. Not every other ingredient is a villain. To make a stable, effective, and convenient pill or capsule, manufacturers need certain tools. Think of them as the unsung heroes of supplement creation. You have binders, which are like the glue that holds a tablet together, preventing it from crumbling into dust in the bottle. A common one is cellulose, which is basically plant fiber. Then you have fillers. If you have a tiny amount of an active ingredient, say 50 micrograms of vitamin B12, you can't just put that tiny speck in a capsule. You need to add bulk, a carrier, so it can be dosed accurately. Clean fillers might be things like rice flour. You'll also see flow agents, or anti-caking agents. During high-speed manufacturing, powders can get sticky and clog the machines. Flow agents like silicon dioxide, which is essentially a form of silica, found naturally in sand and many vegetables, keep everything moving smoothly. Finally, you have the capsule itself, often made from gelatin, which comes from animal collagen, or a vegetarian alternative like hypermellose, made from plant cellulose. So, some of these ingredients are necessary for the manufacturing process. But the problem is, this section is also a dumping ground for cheap, questionable, and sometimes downright counterproductive additives. And companies are banking on the fact that you'll never look. Let's pull back the curtain on the most common red flags you need to watch for. The first one is a classic, the subject of endless online debate: magnesium stearate. You will see this everywhere. It's a salt that's formed when a magnesium ion bonds with stearic acid. It's used as a flow agent to lubricate the machinery and prevent ingredients from sticking. The controversy stems from a few places. Some early, isolated lab studies on cells suggested it could suppress immune function. However, these studies have been widely criticized for not reflecting what happens in the human body, where the compound is simply broken down into its basic parts. The amount in a single capsule is also minuscule. So, is it dangerous? The consensus among most regulatory bodies is no, not in the amounts used in supplements. The real reason to be wary of magnesium stearate isn't that it's a poison, but what it represents. It's often derived from hydrogenated oils, like cottonseed or palm oil, which are not exactly health foods. More importantly, its presence often signals a company that prioritizes high-speed, mass-market production over meticulous, clean formulation. Companies that avoid it often do so as a badge of honor, a sign that they're willing to run their machines slower and spend more money to create a purer product. So when you see it, don't panic, but ask yourself, is this a company cutting corners? Next up, a truly baffling ingredient, titanium dioxide. This is a mineral used as a pigment to make pills and capsules look perfectly, unnaturally white and opaque. It has no nutritional value. It has no therapeutic benefit. It's purely cosmetic. It makes the product look cleaner and more uniform on the shelf. For years, it was considered inert and safe. But recently, that has changed dramatically. In 2021, the European Food Safety Authority, one of the world's leading food safety agencies, declared that it could no longer be considered safe as a food additive. Their reasoning was based on studies that couldn't rule out concerns about genotoxicity, the potential for particles to damage DNA. As a result, it's been banned as a food additive across the entire European Union. And yet, here in the United States, the FDA's position hasn't changed. It is still perfectly legal and widely used in supplements, processed foods, and even toothpaste. This is a clear case where you, the consumer, are the tiebreaker. Do you want to consume an ingredient that serves no health purpose and has been flagged by major international safety bodies? The question you should ask is simple: why does my vitamin D pill need to be a brilliant, opaque white? The answer is, it doesn't. Let's move on to something even more obvious: artificial colors. FDNC blue number 1, red number 40, yellow number 5. These are synthetic dyes derived from petroleum. Let me say that again. They are made from petroleum. For decades, Studies have suggested a potential link between these dyes and hyperactivity in some children. They are purely for marketing. They are designed to make a gummy vitamin look more like candy, or to make a branded capsule match the company's logo. There is absolutely zero health justification for their inclusion in a product you are taking to improve your health. If you see an FD&C color on a supplement label, it's one of the biggest red flags you can find. It's a company treating its health product like a piece of candy, prioritizing shelf appeal over your well-being. Natural colorants from beetroot, turmeric, or spirulina exist. A company that chooses petroleum-derived dyes is making a very clear statement about its priorities. Now for an ingredient that should make you drop the bottle and walk away: hydrogenated oils. You might see this listed as partially hydrogenated soybean oil or something similar. This is the primary source of artificial trans fats. Trans fats are so unequivocally bad for cardiovascular health that the FDA has taken steps to ban them from the food supply. They raise your bad cholesterol, lower your good cholesterol, and increase your risk of heart disease. To find an ingredient like this in a health supplement is the ultimate hypocrisy. It would be like a firefighter selling matches. The amount may be small, but the principle is enormous. Any company willing to put a known, harmful trans fat in their product, no matter how tiny the amount, has lost all credibility. Here's another one to watch for: talc. Yes, the same stuff used in talcum powder. It's sometimes used as an anti-caking agent in tablets. The major concern with talc is its potential for contamination with asbestos, a known and potent carcinogen. Talc and asbestos are minerals that are often found near each other in the earth. While pharmaceutical-grade talc is required to be asbestos-free, the history of contamination is concerning enough that thousands of lawsuits have been filed over this very issue. Given that there are plenty of other, safer alternatives, seeing talc on a supplement label is an unnecessary risk and a sign of an outdated formulation. Finally, the other ingredients list is a minefield for anyone with food allergies or sensitivities. This is where you'll find hidden corn, soy, dairy, and gluten. An ingredient like maltodextrin, a common filler and thickener, is usually derived from corn, but can also come from wheat. Soy lecithin is a common emulsifier. Many binders and fillers can be sourced from these major allergens. A good company will be transparent, often stating free from soy, gluten, and dairy right on the label. A lazy company will just list maltodextrin and leave you to guess the source. And we can't forget the sweeteners, especially in powders, gummies, and chewables. You'll see sucralose, aspartame, acesulfame potassium, artificial sweeteners with ongoing debates about their long-term effects on our gut microbiome and metabolic health. Again, the question is about alignment. If you're taking a supplement to improve your gut health, does it make sense for it to contain an artificial sweetener that might be doing the opposite? So what do you want to see? You want to see a short list. You want to see ingredients you recognize. Instead of magnesium stearate, you might see a company proudly using rice bran extract. Instead of titanium dioxide, you see nothing because it's not needed. You see a capsule made of vegetable cellulose. You see fillers like organic rice flour. When you see a company making these choices, it tells you a story. It tells you they are obsessed with purity. It tells you they respect the intelligence of their customers. They aren't just selling you an active ingredient. They're selling you a complete, thoughtfully crafted product where every single component, even the ones hidden in the fine print, is chosen with your health in mind. You now have the power to read between the lines. You can distinguish between a company that uses cheap, industrial shortcuts and one that invests in quality from top to bottom. But what happens when a company uses a tactic that's even more obscure? What happens when they don't just hide questionable ingredients in the fine print, but hide the actual doses of the main ingredients in plain sight? They do it with two little words that can render a label almost meaningless: proprietary blend. It's one of the most common and misleading tricks in the entire industry, and it's exactly what we're going to expose next. So let's pull back the curtain on this term. A proprietary blend, sometimes called a custom blend or matrix, is a list of ingredients that is legally protected as a company's unique formula. On the label, you'll see the name of the blend, the total weight of all the ingredients in that blend combined, and then a list of the ingredients themselves. But here's the catch. The company does not have to tell you the exact amount of each individual ingredient within that blend. They only have to give you the total. It's a black box. The company will tell you this is to protect their intellectual property. They'll say they've spent years and millions of dollars in research and development to find the perfect synergistic ratio of ingredients, and they don't want a competitor to just come along, copy their formula, and sell it for $1 less. It's their secret sauce, their Coca-Cola recipe. And on the surface, that sounds reasonable, right? A business has a right to protect its innovations. But here's the reality for 99% of the supplements on the market. The proprietary blend isn't used to protect a revolutionary formula. It's used to hide an ineffective one. It allows a company to engage in something called ingredient dusting, or pixie dusting. And it's one of the most deceptive practices in the industry. Here's how it works. Let's say a new, exciting study comes out showing that an ingredient, let's call it cognitin, has amazing benefits for brain health, but you need 500 milligrams of it per day to see any results. Cognitin is a patented ingredient, so it's very expensive for a supplement company to buy. At the same time, there's another ingredient, a basic amino acid called glycine, that is incredibly cheap, we're talking pennies per pound. So a clever marketing company creates a product called Brain Boost Max. On the front of the bottle in big, bold letters it says, featuring clinically studied cognitin. They build a whole advertising campaign around the power of cognitin. Now let's look at the supplement facts panel. We see a proprietary blend called the NeuroFocus Matrix, and the total weight is 750 milligrams. The ingredients listed are glycine and then cognitin. Remember the rule? Ingredients in a blend must be listed in descending order of weight. This means there is more glycine in the blend than cognitin. But how much more? You have no idea. The blend could be 749 milligrams of cheap, inactive glycine, and only 1 milligram of the expensive powerhouse cognitin. Just a tiny dusting. Technically, they haven't lied. The product does contain cognitin. It's right there on the label. But the dose is so pathetically small that it has zero chance of providing the benefits they're alluding to on the front of the bottle. You, the consumer, are paying a premium price for what is essentially a capsule full of cheap filler, all because of the marketing halo of one key ingredient that is barely even in the product. This isn't a rare exception. It is the standard operating procedure for many brands. Let's walk through a more complex, real-world style example. Imagine a popular pre-workout supplement. We'll call it Atomic Pump. It promises explosive energy, laser focus, and incredible muscle pumps. On the back, you see the Atomic Overdrive blend, with a total weight of 5,000 milligrams or 5 grams. The ingredients are listed as beta-alanine, creatine monohydrate, L-citrulline, caffeine anhydrous, and Rhodiola rosea extract. Now, a savvy consumer who has done their homework knows a few things. They know that the clinically effective dose for beta-alanine to help with muscular endurance is at least 3.2 grams. They know a daily maintenance dose of creatine is typically 3 to 5 grams. And they know that for muscle pumps you want at least 6 grams of L-citrulline. Let's stop right there. The effective dose for just one of those key ingredients, L-citrulline, is 6 grams. But the entire blend is only 5 grams. It is physically impossible for this product to contain an effective dose of L-citrulline. In fact, since L-citrulline is listed third, behind beta-alanine and creatine, we know its dose is even lower than those two. The math simply doesn't work. What you're likely getting is a blend that's maybe 2 grams of beta-alanine, 2 grams of creatine, and then the remaining 1 gram is split between the L-citrulline, caffeine, and Rhodiola. You're getting underdosed on almost every single key ingredient. You'll probably still feel it working because caffeine is a powerful stimulant, but you're being shortchanged on the ingredients that actually build muscle and improve performance over the long term. You're paying for the promise of a premium sports car and getting a go-kart with a loud engine. So how do you spot these misleading blends in the wild? There are a few dead giveaways. First, the kitchen sink approach. If you see a proprietary blend with 10, 15, or even 20 ingredients, it's almost certainly a red flag. If the total blend is only 1 or 2 grams, there is no way on earth that any of those ingredients are present at a meaningful dose. It's just a long list of pixie-dusted ingredients designed to impress you, not to provide a physiological benefit. Second, look for the hype ingredients position on the list. If a company is shouting about the benefits of ashwagandha on their website, but you look at their adrenal support blend, and ashwagandha is the very last ingredient on the list, you should be extremely skeptical. The most impactful ingredients should be at the top. Third, be wary of tiny blend sizes for ingredients that require large doses. The creatine example is perfect. If you see creatine in any blend that is less than 3 grams total, you can dismiss it immediately. If you see a fat burner matrix that's 500 milligrams total, and it lists L-carnitine as its first ingredient, you should know that a standard dose of L-carnitine is often between 1,000 and 3,000 milligrams. The product is a dud before you even get to the other ingredients. A quick search on your phone for ingredient name clinical dose can reveal the truth in seconds. Now, to be fair, are all proprietary blends a scam? No, not all of them. There are a handful of highly reputable companies that have genuinely spent decades researching how specific ingredients work together, and they use blends to protect truly unique and effective formulations. These companies often have a long track record, a sterling reputation, and sometimes even publish peer-reviewed research on their specific finished product, not just its individual ingredients. But these companies are the exception, not the rule. For the average person walking through a supplement store, the safest approach is to treat a proprietary blend as a giant red flag. It's a deliberate choice by a company to be less transparent, and you have to ask yourself, if they had clinically effective doses of all their ingredients, why wouldn't they proudly display that on the label? Hiding the numbers usually means the numbers aren't very impressive. By choosing products with a fully transparent label, where every single ingredient and its exact dosage is clearly listed, you are taking the power back. You become the one in control, able to research each component and make an informed decision based on science, not marketing hype. You can compare products accurately and know exactly what you're putting into your body. But even if a company is transparent with its main ingredients, there's another section on the label where unwanted junk can hide. Fillers, binders, artificial colors, flow agents, and preservatives. They're all listed under a tiny heading most people ignore: other ingredients. And what's hiding in that list can sometimes be just as important as what's in the main formula. That's where we're going next. This section, this tiny list of seemingly boring words, is where a company's philosophy is truly revealed. It's the difference between a master chef using fresh, simple ingredients and a fast food chain using chemical agents to make a burger patty hold its shape. Both might deliver protein, but the quality, the intention, and the potential long-term effects are worlds apart. So let's become detectives and magnify this fine print. First, why do these other ingredients even exist? It's not always a sinister plot to fill your supplements with junk. Many of these ingredients are functional. They're necessary evils of the manufacturing process. Think of them as the support crew for the main star. They fall into a few key categories. First up, you have binders and fillers. Imagine trying to press a few micrograms of vitamin B12, a substance smaller than a grain of salt, into a pill you can actually pick up and swallow. It's impossible. So manufacturers add inert substances to give the tablet bulk and structure. The most common ones you'll see are things like microcrystalline cellulose, which is basically wood pulp, or dicalcium phosphate. For the most part, these are harmless and just pass through your system. They're the scaffolding that holds the building up. The question of quality comes down to what scaffolding the company chose to use. Next, you have one of the most misunderstood and controversial ingredients in the entire supplement world: magnesium stearate. You will see this on countless labels, often accompanied by silicon dioxide. These are what we call flow agents or anti-caking agents. Picture a giant factory with massive machines funneling powders into capsule-making machines at incredible speeds. If that powder gets clumpy or sticky, the whole operation grinds to a halt. The machines jam, and the amount of the active ingredient in each capsule becomes inconsistent. Magnesium stearate and silicon dioxide are like a superfine, silky powder that coats the main ingredients, making everything flow smoothly and preventing clumps. It ensures each and every capsule gets the dose it's supposed to. So why the controversy? A couple of decades ago, a single study on rats suggested it might suppress immune function. This story took off online and has been repeated ever since. But here's the context. The study involved isolated cells in a petri dish, not a living organism, and the amounts used were astronomically higher than anything you'd ever find in a supplement. Follow-up research has not supported these initial fears. Magnesium stearate is made from stearic acid, a saturated fat you find in huge amounts in things like chocolate and beef. The amount in a single capsule is minuscule, and the FDA considers it safe. However, the controversy itself tells you something. The very fact that consumers are skeptical has led to a rise in companies who go the extra mile to formulate their products without it, using alternatives like rice hulls, as a sign of their commitment to a cleaner product. So while it's not likely a health risk, its presence or absence can be a clue about the brand's target audience. Then you have disintegrants. These do the opposite of binders. Once you swallow the pill, you don't want it to be a tiny, indestructible rock in your stomach. You need it to break apart and release the active ingredients. That's where things like cruscarmylose sodium come in. They absorb water, swell up, and break the tablet apart so your body can get to the good stuff. And finally, we get to the category that should raise your eyebrows the most, the cosmetic ingredients. These are the colors, flavors, and sweeteners. These ingredients typically have zero functional purpose for manufacturing or for your health. Their only job is to make the product look and taste better to appeal to you, the consumer. Let's start with colors. Why does your vitamin C tablet need to be bright orange? Doesn't. It's purely for marketing. You'll see ingredients like FD&C yellow number 6 or red number 40. These are artificial colors derived from petroleum. While approved by the FDA, some research has linked them to hyperactivity in sensitive children, and many health-conscious consumers choose to avoid them entirely. A big one to watch for is titanium dioxide. It's a pigment used to make pills and capsules a bright, opaque white. It makes them look clean and uniform. For years, it was considered inert. But recently, the European Food Safety Authority re-evaluated the science and declared it no longer safe as a food additive due to concerns about its potential to cause DNA damage. The FDA in the United States has not changed its position, but the discrepancy is enough to make many people pause. If a brand is still using titanium dioxide, it might suggest they aren't keeping up with the latest consumer concerns or international standards. Next, flavors and sweeteners, which are everywhere in powders, gummies, and chewable tablets. You'll see natural flavors on the list. Sounds good, right? The word natural is one of the most misleading terms in the food industry. A natural flavor simply has to be derived from a natural source, a plant or an animal, but the process to create it can involve dozens of synthetic chemicals, solvents, and preservatives. The final product can be something far removed from its original source. It's a black box. You don't really know what's in it. Then come the sweeteners. If it's a sugar-free product, you're likely to see artificial sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, or acesulfame potassium. There is ongoing scientific debate about the long-term health effects of these, and again, many consumers prefer to avoid them. You might also see sugar alcohols like xylitol, erythritol, or sorbitol. These are generally considered safer options, but they can cause digestive distress, gas, bloating, in some people, especially at higher doses. The cleaner alternatives you'll see are things like stevia or monk fruit extract, which are plant-derived, zero-calorie sweeteners. Seeing this other ingredients list is like looking at someone's bank statement. Tells you their priorities. Is the company spending money on the highest quality ingredients? Or are they cutting corners with cheap fillers and artificial colors to make the product more marketable? So, what are the major red flags you should be looking for in this section? First, a long list. If the other ingredients list is longer than the supplement facts list, that's a warning sign. It suggests the product is more filler and fluff than substance. Second, artificial colors, especially the numbered ones like FD&C red number 40. There's simply no reason for them to be in a health product. Their presence suggests a focus on marketing over purity. Third, artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose. Not because they will instantly harm you, but because their presence indicates a certain product philosophy that may not align with a holistic approach to health. Fourth, hydrogenated oils. This is a big one. You might see partially hydrogenated soybean oil, for example. This is an artificial trans fat, and there is universal agreement that it's bad for your heart. It's rarely used anymore, but if you see it, put the bottle down and walk away. And finally, and most importantly, look for hidden allergens. The law requires major allergens like wheat, soy, milk, and peanuts to be declared. But sometimes they're not in the main ingredient. Soy could be the source of a vitamin E. Lactose, milk sugar, could be used as a filler. A vigilant check of this section is critical if you have food sensitivities. This scrutiny from consumers has given rise to what's called the clean label movement. People are demanding supplements with fewer, more recognizable, and less processed ingredients. They want to see rice flour instead of microcrystalline cellulose. They want to see beetroot powder 4-color instead of FD&C red number 40. They want capsules made from vegetable cellulose instead of gelatin for a vegan-friendly product. Companies are listening. A short, understandable other ingredients list is now a powerful marketing tool. It signals transparency and quality. It tells you the company respects your right to know exactly what you're putting in your body. So the next time you pick up a bottle, after you've analyzed the active ingredients and the dosages, your eyes should go straight to the bottom. That little list of other ingredients is the secret Rosetta Stone. It deciphers the true story of that supplement. It tells you about the care, the cost, and the character of the company behind it. We've now decoded the entire ingredient list, from the star players to the supporting cast. We know what's in the pill. But what about the promises printed on the front of the bottle? Those bold claims like, supports brain health, or boosts immune function. What do they actually mean? Can a company just say whatever it wants? The answer is a complex dance of marketing and regulation, and it all hinges on a tiny two-sentence disclaimer hidden somewhere on the label. And understanding that disclaimer is the key to separating real benefits from wishful thinking. That's where we're going next. That disclaimer is the most important piece of text on the entire package. It's a legal firewall, a consumer warning, and a history lesson all rolled into 2 sentences. It's officially known as the DSHA disclaimer, and it reads almost always verbatim. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Let's tear that apart piece by piece because once you understand this, the entire supplement industry clicks into place. First line. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. What does that actually mean? It means the system you assume exists for supplements doesn't. When a pharmaceutical company wants to sell a new drug for, say, high blood pressure, they have to go through a brutal, expensive, and years-long process. They conduct preclinical trials, then phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 human clinical trials involving thousands of people. They collect mountains of data on safety and, crucially, on effectiveness. They have to prove to the FDA beyond a reasonable doubt that their drug is safe and that it actually does what they claim it does. It lowers blood pressure. Only after the FDA has meticulously evaluated all that data and given its stamp of approval can that drug be sold. It's a pre-market approval system. The gatekeeper is at the front door. Dietary supplements operate in a completely different reality. They exist in a post-market regulatory world. The manufacturer does not have to submit any safety or efficacy data to the FDA before they start selling their product. They can formulate a new metabolism booster, design a label, ship it to stores, and start selling it tomorrow. The FDA is not at the front door. Their role is more like a security guard who roams the hallways after everyone is already inside. They primarily react to problems. If a product starts causing a wave of liver damage, or if a company is found to be lacing their supplements with illegal drugs, the FDA can step in and take action. But they are not vetting the claims or the formulas beforehand. The responsibility for ensuring the product is safe and the claims are truthful rests entirely on the manufacturer. It's an honor system. So when you see these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, it's the company telling you point blank, look, the claims we're making on this bottle about supporting your immune system or promoting restful sleep, those are our words. The government's top food and drug agency hasn't checked our homework. We believe it's true, but we haven't had to prove it to them. Now for the second and even more critical line. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. This is the golden rule. These 4 words, diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, are sacred ground in the world of regulation. They belong exclusively to drugs. The moment a product claims to do any one of those 4 things to a specific disease, it legally becomes a drug in the eyes of the FDA. And if it's a drug, it needs to go through that entire pre-market approval gauntlet we just talked about. This is why supplement companies have become masters of a very specific kind of linguistic gymnastics. They have to communicate a benefit without ever using the forbidden words or mentioning a specific disease. This created a massive multi-billion-dollar loophole called the structure/function claim. A company can't say their product treats arthritis. Arthritis is a disease. That's a disease claim and it's illegal. But they can say their product supports joint health and mobility. They aren't treating the disease. They're supporting the normal function of a body part. They can't say their supplement prevents heart disease. That's a disease claim. But they can say it helps maintain cardiovascular health or supports a healthy heart. They can't say their herbal extract cures depression. That's a disease claim. But they can say it helps promote a positive mood or supports emotional well-being. Do you see the pattern? It's a subtle but profound difference. Lowers high cholesterol is a disease claim. Helps maintain cholesterol levels already within a normal range is a perfectly legal structure/function claim. One is an intervention for a medical condition, the other is maintenance of a healthy state. This entire framework is the result of a massive political battle in the early 1990s that culminated in the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994, or DSHEA. Before DSHEA, The FDA was starting to regulate popular supplements like amino acids and herbs much more like drugs, which terrified the industry and a huge base of consumers who felt their access to natural health products was being threatened. The industry lobbied hard, consumers wrote letters, and Congress was caught in the middle. Dietary was the grand compromise. It essentially created a new, protected category for dietary supplements, separate from food and separate from drugs. It said to manufacturers, okay, you can keep selling your products. You can make these structure/function claims about how your product affects the body. But you have to put that 2-sentence disclaimer on the label to make it clear to every single customer that the FDA is not in the business of verifying your marketing, and that your product is not a medicine for any disease. So what does this all mean for you standing in the aisle holding that bottle? It means that when you see that disclaimer, you should translate it in your head to, the burden of proof has now been shifted to me. The company has not had to prove to an unbiased, expert third party that their brain-focused formula actually improves focus. They only need to have some level of internal substantiation that their claim is truthful and not misleading, a standard that is far less rigorous than what's required for a drug. The claim is based on their interpretation of the science, which may or may not be the same as the broader scientific consensus. This doesn't automatically mean the product is a scam or that it doesn't work. Many supplements have a substantial body of evidence behind them, but the disclaimer is your cue to activate your critical thinking. It's a reminder that the marketing language on the front of the bottle, all those powerful, enticing words about vitality, performance, and wellness, is just that, marketing. It exists within a legal framework designed to sell a product without crossing the line into claiming it's a medicine. Understanding this disclaimer is like being given a pair of X-ray glasses. You can suddenly see the hidden skeleton of the entire industry. You understand why a melatonin bottle says, promotes restful sleep, instead of cures insomnia. You know why fish oil says, supports heart health, instead of prevents heart attacks. It transforms you from a passive recipient of marketing messages into an active, informed investigator. You now know that the government isn't vouching for these claims, so you have to be the one who asks the tough questions. What evidence do they have? Is it strong evidence? And most importantly, what is actually in this bottle? This disclaimer is the gatekeeper. And now that you have the key, we can unlock the most important part of the label, the supplement facts panel. This is where the science meets the marketing, and where you'll find the real truth about what you're putting in your body. The gatekeeper. And now that you have the key, we can unlock the most important part of the label, the supplement facts panel. This is where the science meets the marketing, and where you'll find the real truth about what you're putting in your body. Think of the supplement facts panel as the nutritional blueprint of the product. It's a standardized format, mandated by the FDA, designed to give you a clear, honest look inside. But like any blueprint, if you don't know how to read it, it's just a confusing jumble of lines and numbers. By the end of this section, you'll be able to read it like an architect. Let's start at the very top, with the two most overlooked, yet most critical pieces of information: serving size and servings per container. Ignore these, and everything else on the panel is meaningless. It's like trying to follow a recipe without knowing if it's for one person or a party of 12. The serving size tells you the exact amount of the product you need to take to get the nutrient doses listed below. This sounds simple, but it's where so many people make their first mistake. For a protein powder, the serving size might be 1 scoop. For a fish oil, it might be 2 soft gels. For a gummy vitamin, it might be 3 gummies. People often assume it's just one, pop a single gummy, and wonder why they're not feeling any different. They're getting only a third of the intended dose. Always check the serving size first. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. Right next to it, you'll find servings per container. This tells you how many of those servings are in the entire bottle or jar. This isn't just about knowing how long the product will last. It's a crucial part of calculating its true value. A bottle with 120 capsules might seem like a better deal than one with 60. But if the serving size is 4 capsules a day, that 120 capsule bottle is only a 30-day supply. The 60 capsule bottle with a serving size of 1 per day is a 60-day supply. Suddenly, the cheaper-looking option is actually twice as expensive. Do the simple math. Divide the total cost by the number of servings, not the number of pills. That's your true cost per dose. Okay, now that we've set the stage, let's move down into the main event. The list of nutrients. This is typically a 3-column table. The first column on the left lists the name of the nutrient: vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, and so on. The second column, amount per serving, tells you the quantity or dose of that nutrient in one serving. This is the raw data. You'll see units like mg for milligrams or micg for micrograms. A microgram is 1,000 times smaller than a milligram, so paying attention to these units is vital. You might also see IU, which stands for international units. This is an older measurement, typically used for fat-soluble vitamins like D and E, that measures a substance by its biological effect rather than its mass. Now, for the third column, the one that causes the most confusion, the percent daily value or percent DV. The percent DV is designed to give you context. It tells you how much a nutrient in a single serving contributes to a total daily diet. But here's the million-dollar question. Whose daily diet? The answer is a hypothetical average adult consuming 2,000 calories a day. Let that sink in. The percent DV is a general guideline, not a personalized prescription. Your individual needs could be wildly different based on your age, sex, weight, activity level, and health status. So while it's a helpful reference point, don't treat it as gospel. A useful rule of thumb is the 5/20ths rule. If a serving provides 5% DV or less of a nutrient, it's considered low in that nutrient. If it provides 20% DV or more, it's considered high. This can help you quickly gauge if a product is giving you a meaningful dose or just a sprinkle. You'll also notice that some ingredients don't have a percent DV. Next to them, you'll see an asterisk, and at the bottom of the panel, a footnote that says, daily value not established. This is common for things like herbs, amino acids, and compounds like coenzyme Q10. It doesn't mean they're not important. It just means the FDA hasn't established a standard daily recommendation for them. This is where your own research becomes paramount. But let's dig deeper, because the name of the nutrient alone doesn't tell the whole story. The form of the nutrient is just as important, and this is where you can go from being a novice to an expert label reader. Take magnesium, for example. The label might just say magnesium, but in the ingredient list, you might see it listed as magnesium oxide, magnesium citrate, or magnesium glycinate. Are they all the same? Absolutely not. This comes down to a concept called bioavailability. Bioavailability is a simple idea with a fancy name. It's the proportion of a nutrient that your body can actually absorb and use. Magnesium oxide is cheap and contains a lot of magnesium by weight, but it has poor bioavailability. Your body struggles to absorb it. Magnesium citrate and glycinate, on the other hand, are much more easily absorbed. So, a smaller dose of a highly bioavailable form can be far more effective than a massive dose of a poorly absorbed one. This applies to so many nutrients. The form of iron, zinc, or B vitamins can dramatically change how effective they are. A truly high-quality supplement will use these superior, more bioavailable forms, and they'll often be proud to state it right on the label. This brings us to another common sight on the supplement facts panel, those gigantic percentages. You'll see vitamin B12 with 8,000% DV or vitamin C with 1,500% DV. Is this dangerous? Is it even useful? The answer is it depends. It depends on whether the vitamin is water-soluble or fat-soluble. Water-soluble vitamins like the B-complex vitamins and vitamin C are difficult to overdose on. If you take more than your body needs, it generally just excretes the excess in your urine. That's why you might notice your urine turns bright yellow after taking a B-complex. It's your body flushing out the extra riboflavin. Fat-soluble vitamins, however, are a different story. These are vitamins A, D, E, and K. Your body stores the excess of these vitamins in your liver and fat tissue. Over time, they can build up to toxic levels. This is why you need to be much more cautious with high doses of fat-soluble vitamins. There is something called the tolerable upper intake level, or UL, which is the maximum daily intake unlikely to cause adverse health effects. It's always a good idea to be aware of the UL for any fat-soluble vitamin you're taking consistently. Now let's pull back the curtain on one of the most controversial and confusing parts of any supplement label: the proprietary blend. You'll see it listed as a single ingredient with a name like Energy and Focus Blend, Muscle Matrix, or Cognitive Support Complex. It will have a total weight, say 1,500 milligrams, and then underneath it a long list of impressive-sounding ingredients. But here's the catch. The label tells you the total weight of the blend, but not the specific weight of each ingredient within the blend. This is the black box of the supplement industry. Companies will tell you they use proprietary blends to protect their secret, innovative formulas from competitors. And in some rare cases that might be true. But more often than not, It's a way to hide a cheap, ineffective formula behind clever marketing. It allows for a practice known as fairy dusting. This is when a company includes a minuscule, biologically insignificant amount of a popular, expensive, or trendy ingredient, like rhodiola or ashwagandha, just so they can legally list it on the label and make bold claims in their advertising. So how do you crack the code of a proprietary blend? There's one crucial rule you need to know. The FDA requires that the ingredients within a blend be listed in descending order by weight. The first ingredient is the most plentiful, and the last ingredient is the least. This gives you a powerful clue. Let's say you see a super green energy blend that weighs 1,000 milligrams. The ingredients are listed as spirulina, wheatgrass, chlorella, and ginseng. You know that spirulina makes up the biggest chunk and ginseng the smallest. But you still don't know if it's 997 milligrams of spirulina and 1 milligram of each of the others. Here's a real-world example. Imagine a pre-workout supplement with a 2,000 milligram explosive energy blend. The ingredients are listed as taurine, caffeine, beta-alanine, and L-theanine. A clinically effective dose of beta-alanine is around 3,200 milligrams, but the entire blend is only 2,000 milligrams. This tells you immediately that it's impossible for this product to contain an effective dose of beta-alanine. It's likely mostly cheaper ingredients like taurine and caffeine, with just a fairy dusting of the others. When you see a proprietary blend, your skepticism should be on high alert. You are giving up your right to know exactly what you're putting in your body, and in what dose. Transparency is the hallmark of a quality brand. By understanding how to read the serving size, decode the %DV, appreciate the importance of bioavailability, and see through the marketing trick of proprietary blends, you've just taken a massive leap forward. You're no longer just a passive consumer. You're an informed investigator. But our investigation isn't over. Because just below the supplement facts panel lies another list, often in tiny print, that's just as important. The other ingredients. This is where companies list the fillers, binders, artificial colors, and potential allergens. It's the fine print, and as we all know, the devil is often in the details. So let's pull out the magnifying glass and examine these details, because what you find here can tell you as much about the company's philosophy as it does about the product itself. The other ingredients section is essentially a list of excipients. That's a fancy word for substances that are added to a supplement for a specific purpose other than providing a nutritional benefit. They're there to make the manufacturing process possible, to stabilize the formula, or to make the pill easier to take. Now, the presence of other ingredients isn't automatically a red flag. It's nearly impossible to create a stable, consistent capsule or tablet without them. The real question is which ingredients are being used and why. Let's start with the most common ones. Fillers and binders. Fillers, like microcrystalline cellulose, which is basically just wood pulp, are used to add bulk. Imagine the active ingredient is a tiny, potent powder, maybe only a few milligrams. You can't put just that speck of dust into a capsule. So a filler is added to create a standard, handleable pill size. Binders, on the other hand, are the glue. They hold the tablet together and prevent it from crumbling into dust. Then you have flow agents like magnesium stearate or silicon dioxide. These are crucial for the manufacturing process. Think of a giant machine trying to fill thousands of capsules per minute. The powders need to flow smoothly like dry sand, not clump up like wet sand. Magnesium stearate is a salt that coats the ingredients, acting as a lubricant so they don't stick to the equipment. Silicon dioxide is essentially a form of silica, the same stuff that makes up sand and quartz, and it's an anti-caking agent, absorbing moisture to keep the powder from clumping. For years, magnesium stearate has been a boogeyman in the natural health world. You'll see articles claiming it suppresses your immune cells or hinders nutrient absorption by creating a film in your gut. However, a deeper look at the science suggests these concerns may be overstated for the tiny amounts found in supplements. The studies often cited involve extremely high doses that you would never encounter in a supplement. But the controversy exists for a reason. Some people do prefer to avoid it, and many high-end brands will proudly state no magnesium stearate on their bottles, often using alternatives like rice hulls or L-leucine. Seeing this signals that the company is actively listening to consumer concerns, which can be a good sign. Next up, you might see coatings or glazes. These serve a few purposes. Sometimes it's for aesthetics, giving a tablet a shiny, smooth finish. Other times it's functional. A glaze can make a large, chalky tablet easier to swallow. Even more advanced are enteric coatings. These are special coatings designed to resist stomach acid. This is important for certain supplements like probiotics or specific enzymes that you want to survive the harsh environment of the stomach and be released further down in the intestines where they can be absorbed properly. If a supplement has an enteric coating, it's a sign of sophisticated formulation. The ingredients used can range from shellac, which is a resin from an insect, something vegans might want to note, to plant-based food glazes. And then we get to the ingredients that are purely for sensory experience. Artificial colors, flavors, and sweeteners. This is where you, as a consumer, have to ask a fundamental question. Is this necessary for my health product? Why does a vitamin C tablet need to be bright synthetic orange? Why does a protein powder need to taste exactly like birthday cake, using a cocktail of artificial flavors? The answer is marketing. Bright colors and sweet taste sell products, especially to a mass market. You'll see ingredients like FD&C red number 40, yellow number 5, or blue number 1. While the FDA deems these safe for consumption in small amounts, they are derived from petroleum and have been linked in some studies to sensitivities or behavioral issues in certain individuals. For many people, the goal of taking a supplement is to put pure, beneficial things into their body, so adding synthetic dyes can feel completely counterintuitive. A clean label, free of artificial colors, often indicates a company that's targeting a more health-conscious consumer. The same logic applies to artificial sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, and acesulfame potassium. They are common in powders, chewables, and gummies to provide sweetness without calories. While they are FDA approved, their long-term health effects are still a subject of ongoing scientific debate. Alternatives you might see are sugar alcohols like erythritol or xylitol. These are generally considered more natural, but they can cause digestive upset like gas and bloating in some people, especially at higher doses. Then you have plant-derived sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit, which are often the preferred choice in the natural product space. Seeing stevia instead of sucralose is another clue about the brand's target audience and overall philosophy. Beyond the additives, the other ingredients list is legally required to house one of the most critical pieces of safety information on the entire label: the allergen statement. In the United States, the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act, or FALCPA, mandates that the top 9 major food allergens be clearly identified. As of today, these are milk, eggs, fish, crustacean shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, soybeans, and sesame. This information is usually presented in one of two ways. It might say in bold, right below the ingredient list, contains wheat, soy, and milk. It's unambiguous. The other way is to list the allergen in parentheses within the ingredient list itself. For example, if a product uses whey protein, you might see whey protein concentrate, milk, in the list. But there's another, more nuanced warning you need to look for: the advisory statement. This is the may contain, or processed in a facility that also handles. Warning: this is not about ingredients that are in the product, but about the risk of cross-contamination. If a factory produces a pure vegan protein powder on the same line they just used to run a whey protein powder, there is a risk that trace amounts of milk could end up in the vegan product. For someone with a mild sensitivity, this might not be an issue. But for someone with a severe, life-threatening allergy, this warning is a non-negotiable deal-breaker. The absence of this warning doesn't guarantee a product is free from cross-contamination, but its presence is a critical piece of data for anyone with allergies. When you put all of this together, the fillers, the colors, the allergens, you start to paint a picture. A product with a short other ingredients list filled with recognizable, plant-based items like vegetable capsule or rice flour is telling you a story of simplicity and purity. A product with a long list of synthetic dyes, artificial sweeteners, and chemical-sounding names is telling you a different story, one that might be more focused on cost, shelf stability, and mass-market appeal. Neither is inherently good or bad for everyone, but they are different. Understanding this section allows you to choose the product whose story aligns with your personal health philosophy. So you've scrutinized the supplement facts, you've decoded the other ingredients, and you've checked for allergens. You're feeling confident. But how can you be truly sure that what's on the label is actually in the bottle? How do you verify the purity, the potency, and that it's free from harmful contaminants? That's where a whole different set of symbols and seals comes into play. These are the logos that represent the independent watchdogs of the supplement industry, and they are arguably the most important trust signals you can find on a label. Think of these seals as an independent home inspector for your supplements. You wouldn't buy a house just because the seller said it was in great shape, right? You'd hire a professional to go through the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical to verify those claims. That's exactly what these third-party organizations do. They step into the regulatory gap left open because the FDA doesn't pre-approve supplements. They are the independent verifiers, the ones who check the work, and their logo on a bottle is a company's way of saying, don't just take our word for it. These guys checked and we passed their test. So let's meet the major players. The first one you'll see, and one of the most respected, is a simple blue circle with the letters NSF. This stands for the National Sanitation Foundation. And when you see this seal, it means so much more than a one-time product test. NSF certification is a rigorous, ongoing process. They don't just test a sample the company sends them. They conduct unannounced inspections of the manufacturing facilities. They show up uninvited to make sure everything is being done by the book, that the facility is clean, and that they are following what are known as good manufacturing practices or GMPs. But what are they actually testing for? 3 critical things. First, label accuracy. They test the product to confirm that what's on the label is actually inside the bottle, at the potency and amount specified. No more, no less. Second, they test for contaminants. They are screening for harmful levels of things you don't want, like heavy metals, pesticides, and microbial contaminants. And third, as I mentioned, they audit the manufacturing facility itself to ensure it meets the highest standards for quality and safety. Now, you might see a variation of this seal that says, NSF certified for sport. This is the gold standard, especially for athletes, but it's a powerful signal for any consumer. This certification includes all the regular NSF checks plus one massive crucial step. It screens the product for more than 270 substances that are banned by major athletic organizations like the World Anti-Doping Agency. Why does this matter to you if you're not a professional athlete? Because it's the ultimate proof of purity. The supplement industry, unfortunately, has a history of products being contaminated with unlisted, and sometimes illegal, stimulants or steroids. An athlete's career could be destroyed by a tainted supplement. A company that goes through the expense and scrutiny of getting the NSF certified for sport seal is demonstrating an extreme commitment to making sure their product is absolutely clean. It's one of the strongest indicators of quality you can find. Next up is another titan in the industry, a black square with the letters USP. This stands for the United States Pharmacopeia. USP is a scientific nonprofit organization that sets federally recognized public standards for medicines, food ingredients, and dietary supplements. Their standards are so trusted they're enforced by the FDA for prescription drugs. When a supplement company voluntarily decides to submit their product to USP for verification, they are aiming for a pharmaceutical-grade level of quality. The USP verified mark on a label tells you 4 key things. 1. It contains the ingredients listed on the label, in the declared potency and amounts. 2. It does not contain harmful levels of specified contaminants. 3. The supplement will break down and release into the body within a specified amount of time, meaning it's actually bioavailable. And 4. It has been made according to FDA good manufacturing practices using sanitary and well-controlled procedures. Much like NSF, USP conducts ongoing surveillance and batch testing to ensure the quality is maintained over time. Seeing the USP seal is like seeing a seal of approval from one of the most authoritative scientific bodies in the country. A third major player, especially in the world of sports nutrition, is a logo that says Informed Choice or Informed Sport. This is a global quality assurance program. Their primary mission is to protect athletes from inadvertently consuming a banned substance. And their approach is incredibly thorough. While other programs might do random spot checks, the Informed Sport certification requires that every single batch of a product is tested for banned substances before it's released to the market. Let me repeat that, every single batch. Think about the confidence that provides. It removes the element of chance. You know the specific tub of protein or bottle of creatine you are holding in your hand has been cleared. Informed Choice is a related certification from the same company, but it focuses on testing products that are already on retail shelves. It's a monthly blind testing program to ensure what consumers are buying remains clean. So, Informed Sport is a pre-market, every batch certification, while Informed Choice is a post-market, retail monitoring program. Both are excellent signs of a company's dedication to purity. Now, beyond these big 3, there are a few other seals worth knowing. You might see a seal from consumerlab.com. They have a unique model. They are an independent company that goes out and buys products off the shelf just like you would, and then tests them for identity, strength, purity, and disintegration. If a product passes their testing, the company can license the consumer lab, approved quality, seal to put on their label. It's a great consumer advocate approach. Then you have seals that tell you about the sourcing of the ingredients, which is different from purity testing. The Non-GMO Project Verified Butterfly logo is a perfect example. This seal tells you that the product has gone through a rigorous verification process to ensure it doesn't contain genetically modified organisms. It's a claim about agricultural sourcing, not about whether the final product contains the right dose of vitamin D or is free of lead. Similarly, the USDA Organic Seal tells you that the ingredients were grown and processed according to federal guidelines addressing soil quality, animal raising practices, and pest and weed control. It means no synthetic fertilizers, prohibited pesticides, or genetic engineering. Again, this is a very valuable indicator about how the ingredients were farmed, but it's a separate concern from what NSF and USP are testing for: the final product's identity, purity, and potency in the bottle. So, what if a product has none of these seals? Does that automatically mean it's bad? No, not necessarily. And this is a really important point. Getting these third-party certifications is an incredibly expensive and lengthy process. A small new company, even one with an exceptional product and high standards, might not have the resources to get certified right away. This is where you have to become your own detective. The absence of a seal means the burden of proof shifts. It means you need to do a little more homework. The first place to look is the company's website. Do they talk openly about their quality control? Do they practice what's called radical transparency? The gold standard for a non-certified company is providing something called a certificate of analysis, or a CAFE. A CAFE is a document issued by a laboratory that confirms a specific product batch meets its predetermined specifications. A good CAFE will show you the results for potency, proving the active ingredient is there in the right amount, and the results for contaminants like heavy metals, microbes, and allergens. Some of the best companies will let you type in the lot number from your bottle right on their website and see the CAFE for your specific batch. If a company doesn't have a big third-party seal, but is willing to show you their own batch-specific lab results, that is a massive green flag. It shows they stand behind their product and have nothing to hide. Ultimately, these seals are shortcuts to trust. They are independent signals in a noisy market that a company has gone the extra mile and spent the extra money to prove their product is what they say it is. Their presence is reassuring. Their absence isn't an automatic red card, but it is a yellow one. It's a sign that you need to pause and investigate a little further yourself. So now we've done it. We've dissected the entire label. From the marketing claims on the front to the supplement facts panel, the intimidating other ingredients list, and now the critical seals of approval. We have all the individual pieces of the puzzle. But how do we put it all together to make that final confident decision? How do you stand in the aisle or look at your screen and synthesize all this information into a simple yes or no? That's the final step. And that's exactly what we're going to build in our final part, the ultimate supplement buying checklist. So let's build it. This isn't just a list of things to look for. This is a 4-question mental framework, a rapid-fire decision-making system you can deploy in 30 seconds flat, turning confusion into clarity. Print it out, save it on your phone, but more importantly, burn it into your brain. Here it is, the 4-question checklist. Question 1, the why. This is the most important question, and you ask it before you even touch a bottle. Why am I considering this supplement? Is this based on a specific identified need? Did my doctor, after reviewing my blood work, say, you could benefit from some vitamin D? Is a registered dietitian helping me fill a specific nutritional gap in my diet? Or is my why something else? Is it because I saw a compelling ad? Because a fitness influencer with perfect lighting swore it changed their life? Because the marketing copy promises to unlock my hidden potential? You have to be brutally honest here. Because if your why isn't grounded in a real, personal, identified need, you're not supplement shopping. You're just shopping. You're buying a story, a hope, a feeling. And that's a dangerous and expensive way to manage your health. A supplement without a purpose is just a costly biological experiment. If you can't articulate a clear, specific, and logical reason for taking something, put the bottle down. The work isn't on the label. The work is with yourself or a qualified professional to figure out what you actually need first. End of story. If you pass this first gate, and only if you pass it, you can proceed to the bottle itself. Question 2. The what? Now you pick up the bottle. You ignore the flashy name and the promises on the front. You turn it over to the only part that matters, the supplement facts panel, and you interrogate it. First, the identity check. Is the primary ingredient what you're actually looking for? And is it in a form your body can use? It's not just magnesium, it's magnesium oxide, a form with notoriously low bioavailability, versus magnesium glycinate or citrate. It's not just vitamin K, it's K1 versus K2, specifically the -7 Malawian Quatches form, which has a longer life in the body. You spent the last 9 parts of this series learning these nuances. This is where you apply them. If the form is cheap, ineffective, or not the one used in the studies supporting your why, that's a major red flag. Next, the dose check. Look at the amount per serving. Is it a meaningful dose? A product could proudly advertise turmeric with curcumin, but then the panel reveals a pathetically small amount, far less than any amount shown to have a clinical effect. Then look at the serving size. Is it 1 capsule? Or is it 4 horse-sized pills 4 times a day? That 60-capsule bottle might only be a 15-day supply, not a 2-month supply. That changes the value proposition entirely. Compare the dose to establish daily values or dosages used in research relevant to your goal. Is it in the right ballpark? Finally, the purity check. Slide your eyes down to other ingredients. Is it a short, clean list of things like a vegetable capsule and a rice filler? Or is it a chemical cocktail of artificial colors like FD&C red number 40, sweeteners like aspartame, and binders and coatings you can't pronounce? These aren't necessarily harmful in small amounts, but they are indicative of the manufacturer's philosophy. Are they trying to create the purest product possible, or the cheapest, most shelf-stable, and brightly colored product possible? If you see a proprietary blend for the main ingredients, where they hide the specific amounts of each component, it's an almost automatic no. Transparency is non-negotiable. Question 3. The who. Who is behind this product? You've analyzed the what? Now you analyze the who. And the who is a measure of trust. Your eyes should immediately scan the label for the logos of third-party certifiers. These are your seals of trust. Do you see the circular blue and white NSF logo? That tells you the National Sanitation Foundation has verified that what's on the label is actually in the bottle, and it doesn't contain unsafe levels of contaminants. Do you see the yellow and black USP logo? The United States Pharmacopeia has done the same, confirming identity, potency, and purity. Maybe you see the Informed Sport logo, crucial for athletes, certifying the product is free of banned substances. The absence of a seal isn't an automatic disqualifier, but its presence is a massive green light. It means the company is willing to spend significant money and open their doors to an independent auditor to prove they are making what they claim to be making. It's the ultimate sign of good manufacturing practices. After looking for a seal, take 10 seconds and pull out your phone. Google the brand name plus the word reviews or testing. Do they have a long-standing reputation? Are they known for quality? Or are they a ghost brand that just appeared on Amazon last month with 1,000 generic-sounding 5-star reviews? A good company is proud of their process. They'll tell you where they source their ingredients. They'll show you their certificates of analysis. A company with something to hide will give you nothing but marketing. Trust is earned, and in the supplement world, it's earned through verification. Question 4. The how. This is the final practical gut check. How does this fit into your life and your budget, and how does it stack up against the red flags we've learned? First, cost. Don't look at the price on the shelf. Calculate the cost per effective dose. That cheap bottle of magnesium oxide might be $10, but if you're only absorbing a tiny fraction of it, is it really cheaper than the $25 bottle of magnesium glycinate that your body can actually use? That giant tub of protein powder might seem like a bargain, until you realize the serving size is huge and the actual protein content is padded with fillers, making the cost per gram of protein higher than the premium brand next to it. Do the math. Value is not the same as price. And finally, the last how. How does it feel? Do a final scan for those giant screaming red flags. Does the bottle make claims that sound like they came from a 19th century snake oil salesman? Melts fat overnight. Reverses aging. Cures joint pain forever. Remember, per FDA regulations, supplements cannot claim to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Those are drug claims. If the claims sound too good to be true, they are. They are also illegal. That tells you everything you need to know about the company's integrity. Does the label look professional? Or is it filled with typos and pixelated graphics? Trust your gut. By this point, you've developed an intuition, a sense of what feels right and what feels wrong. So let's put it all together. You're in the aisle. You see a bottle of ashwagandha. 1. Why? My doctor noted my stress markers are high, and we discussed adaptogens as a potential supportive tool. Check. 2. What? I turn it over. The ingredient is KSM66 ashwagandha, a specific, clinically studied extract. The dose is 600 milligrams, consistent with the studies. The serving size is 2 capsules. The other ingredients are just a veggie capsule and rice flour. No blends, no junk. Check. 3. Who? I scan the label. Boom. The NSF seal is right there. A quick search on my phone shows the company has been around for 15 years and has a reputation for quality. Check. 4. How? The price is $30 for a 30-day supply, so $1 a day. That's sustainable for me. The claims on the front are responsible, using words like supports and helps maintain, not eliminates. Check. In less than a minute, you've gone from a guess to an educated, confident decision. That is the power of this framework. We started this journey with a simple box on a shelf. A box that for most people represents a gamble, a shot in the dark. But now you see it for what it is. It's a document. It's a story. It's a contract between you and the manufacturer. And for the first time, you can read the fine print. You can see the loopholes, the empty promises, and the signals of true quality. The supplement aisle will never look the same to you again. That wall of confusion is now a library of information, and you hold the key. But remember, this knowledge is a tool, not a replacement for the pillars of health. A balanced diet, consistent exercise, quality sleep, and a strong relationship with a healthcare provider who knows you. Supplements, when chosen correctly, can be a valuable part of that ecosystem. They are the supplement, not the substitute. You are now among the most informed consumers in the world. You've done the work. You've learned the language. Now go out there and use it. Take control of your choices, demand transparency from companies, and build a health routine that is based not on hype, but on evidence, intelligence, and a deep understanding of what you are truly putting into your body. That is the ultimate power.